Doing fine. Thank you so much.
So, Mark, tell the listeners just a little background about yourself and your officiating career before we dive into the umpiring stuff.
So, yeah, as you mentioned, I'm with the Middle Tennessee Football Officials Association. I've been with them, I think this is my 15th year, and been an umpire, at least in the varsity level, the entire time. And this is the first year outside of one of the COVID years that we've moved our umpires to the offensive backfield for both 7 and 5 man crews.
Excellent. And now we were talking just pre-production here that you're predominantly with a 7-man crew, and you still do have some 5-man crew games, but predominantly Tennessee area is going to be 7-man crews. Am I correct in saying that?
Predominantly our association. You get it. We are actually blessed with numbers. We don't have, at least now not saying it comes naturally. We have to work for the numbers we get, and we do a lot of outreach and things of that nature. But you get outside the Middle Tennessee area, I think you'll see more 5-man crew. But like Memphis, Knoxville, Nashville, the larger cities in Tennessee, I think you'll see more 7-man crews.
No, that's excellent. Yeah, and that's what you were just talking about putting in the work and kind of recruiting. That's what I'm trying to do here. So once again, I got to do a quick plug for everybody out there. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Forgot to mention that right at the beginning, because the more likes and subscribes, I keep being told by the podcast people in the world, it helps get the word out there a little bit better for everybody. So hit those like, subscribe buttons, go to my website, take a look at those different things, go to my YouTube page. And if you really like the show and you want to help support me a little bit, you can buy me a beer right here, or this morning I am drinking a cup of coffee, so you'll see the buy me a coffee link. But so Mark, today we're going to talk about diving into the umpire position. And in Middle Tennessee, in your area, you guys have now, and you said your association is kind of jumping right into going with the umpire in the offensive backfield, correct?
That's correct. It's optional for the state for 24 and 25, and they're going. The plan is to mandate it for 2026, and I think we're the only association that went ahead and jumped into it. I'm not positive, but I believe we are.
Okay, and I know in the social media world, this has been something that's been a big topic on all the officiating social media sites and stuff like that. Some banter going back and forth between what states are doing it, what states aren't. Now here in New Jersey, we kind of experimented with it in our scrimmage schedule a couple years back. I couldn't even tell you what year it was, but we kind of experimented with it, and it didn't pass. And I know each year in our state association there have been talks about doing it, and I think this year was probably the closest vote for it to actually happen, but it still didn't happen. So in Jersey, we're still 6-man crews with the U on the defensive side, and I'm an umpire, and I get run into a lot. So what was the state of Tennessee's rationale about moving the umpire to the backfield?
All about safety. That's what it all boiled down to.
So how much pushback was there?
Now, I wasn't in on the discussions, but from what I understand, a lot. I mean, there's been pushback from within our own association. I've always, since we experimented back with in 2021 with it, I've been a big proponent for it. It's nice being back there and not having to play. It's kind of like they say. I get a year older every year, but they say the same age, and they get faster and they get stronger. And I've been fortunate over the years. I've not had an injury from being hit, but that doesn't. We've all. I'm sure you've been hit more than once. I have as well. And so it's nice to sit back and be able to observe the action and not have to be on a swivel as much.
So with that being said, I want to just throw a little clip in here. This is an incident that happened with me last year, and let me load it up. Let me see if it's popping up there for you. Oh wait, I lied. This is not mine. Where am I? Let me get the right clip here. No. I'm in here somewhere. Here it comes. Okay, so this is me in the middle. This is on a punt. and you'll see right there got blocked into.
Yeah.
And I got lucky in this scenario, and I'm going to try to pause it and go slow. And for those that are able to watch it, you'll see me right in the middle. They kind of went with a spread punt formation, so a 2x2. They were spreading it out, and this young man just coming down. I'm watching my keys. All of a sudden, he got blocked into me, clean block, and woo, there I go. And luckily for me, my feet came out from under me. I wasn't planted in the ground, so I didn't have any type of injury with it. And I was able to get up and laugh with the young man that, unfortunately, I was 250 pounds that I fell upon. But I said, boy, that's going to look funny on film. But I was able to get up and laugh about that scenario. Unfortunately, 2 years ago, we had an individual in our association who wasn't as lucky as myself, who ended up fracturing his leg and tearing basically all the ligaments in the knee because of this similar type of scenario. So you talk about the safety aspect of it. What then would be the pushback of the people that were in your association that don't want to go, that like being in the defensive side? And to be honest with you, 99% of it, I love where I am at. But it's that 1%, that one chance that's going to happen, that if I can eliminate, I'm willing to go to the offensive backfield to take that.
Right. You know, the biggest pushback we heard was that assumption that the middle of the field is just going to be left wide open. That there's not, it's just going to be the Wild West, you know, in with the linebackers where we used to be. And in my experience, it hasn't been that at all. It's been no different as far as controlling a game. They don't go crazy in the defensive backfield or in the linebacker, you know, in that second level. It's been a non-event. Really has been.
And it's ironic that you're saying that, and I know, again, a lot of listeners, they're still with the 5-man crews, and you guys with the 7-man crews. You have that middle of the field covered. Right now, one of our associations and one of our state's biggest things is with our 6-man crew, we still do have that dead zone in the middle of the field, because my back is kind of, if you get a trips formation, my one wing is keying on number 1, the deep wing is keying on number 2, and they're basically splitting number 3. But there's times with all the different offenses and styles that we're seeing out there, that there's dead zones, and we've gone back on film, and we're like, oh, that was definitely a defensive holding. That was something, but it was behind it. It was behind the umpire, so it was someplace that I'm never going to be able to pick up. So there still are, unfortunately, some dead zones, even with all of our keys in place. So with that, at least with the 7-man, you're kind of getting the middle of the field covered. 5-man, same thing, you're getting the middle of the field covered. So having the U in the offensive backfield, I think, kind of makes it a little bit easier for us. What are the short wings? How have they taken to not having the U in the middle of the field? Because people say it's going to be a lot more work for them on the short wings.
You know what? We've not noticed much of a difference. Really, the biggest change is now me depending, especially at least on a 5-man, more dependence upon the linesman to help with ineligibles downfield, things like that, where they're staying and kind of watching for that. That's really been about it. But I've not heard any complaints from either of our wing officials, short wing officials, that like, oh, they're just covered up and can't do it, you know, can't focus on their own keys because they're trying to worry about ineligibles or illegal forward passes or anything like that. Things that I'm not even going to say that were easier to get before. I just think things that folks just naturally associated with the umpire before.
Yep. So now for us, they've actually taken, I'm actually just a helper for illegal man downfield now. It's our short wing's responsibility of catching that illegal man downfield.
Yeah.
Because, again, in the 6-man crew, I'm not walking up to the line of scrimmage. Our short wings are holding the line of scrimmage, so they're going to have that look. But now if I'm in the backfield, it's not going to change anything for them in that aspect. They're still going to have to hold the line of scrimmage.
Right.
And for us, it seems like it makes sense. And I know I'm going to, and hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, if you disagree with us, please comment. I want to hear from everybody. We want to get opinions out there. We want to get feedback about this. But me personally, one of the biggest knocks that I've heard is it's going to be more running for us umpires. And okay, I'm okay with that.
It is. It is. Yeah, there's no denying that. There's more running involved, but it's not a retirement position any longer. We've always joked about. It's you've got to be a little bit more active and a little bit more fit to get downfield a little bit quicker. The back judge is there for us, at least in the 7-man mechanic, and of course in the 5-man to help with some of those deep spots. But you've got to get down. You got to move pretty quick. You got to get on it. You've got to be able, especially on no huddle offenses. This is what I had last week. You've got to be able to get in, spot it, and get out, and be on it.
So, but now the question is, we're doing the same thing with the no huddle offense, just backpedaling through the defensive backfield as opposed to the offensive backfield. Did you notice that it was much of a difference? Now I know you're going to get a little bit deeper now, because how deep are you now as the umpire in the offensive backfield?
I'm usually about 10 yards back and about 5-6 yards off tackle.
And how about your referee? Are they the same distance?
No, he's staggered about 3 yards behind me. So opposite side about 3 yards deeper.
Okay. Yeah, so our referees, we're between kind of 12 and 15 yards like you're talking about, sometimes a little bit deeper. But so there's times where I'm spotting the ball on a hurry-up offense and I'm backpedaling to get to the defensive side. Now, my normal distance is going to be 7 to 9 yards. I personally like going to that 9 yards because it gives me a better field of vision from there. But are there times where they're going to snap the ball before I'm at my 9-yard depth? Yeah, because it's a hurry-up offense. And so I don't see much of a difference between, okay, now if I got to go back 10 yards instead of 9 yards and they catch me at 7, it's still going to be the same type of scenario.
Right. And the good thing is if you're backing out from into the offensive backfield, at least you're still separating and giving yourself space from what you had before. They're not running at you at this point. So much easier to get ready. And
I also found that I'm 6'3". I've lost some weight. So last year I was 250. I'm down around the 230 range. So I'm happy right now. I still got some work to do. But I backpedaled into kids. I backpedaled into kids and set picks that way too. Now, in the offensive backfield, you're kind of coming on an angle that once you clear the offensive lineman, there's really not much that's going to be directly behind you. Am I correct in thinking that? Absolutely
correct. And depending on the team we're with, sometimes I'll back out completely. Other times I'll go out and sort of rotate when I clear the offensive lineman just to make sure I'm not backing into them from spotting the ball. Okay. You sort of have to just play it by ear with the team that you're working that particular week.
Okay. So how about keys? What any difference in your keys now from being in the offensive backfield as opposed to when you were on the defensive side, what you're looking for, what your focus is?
They're a little bit different. So before we did guard, center guard, those were our primary keys, and now we do it a little bit different. We're actually looking across the line. So if I'm on the left side of the offensive line, I'm actually keying center, right guard, right tackle, and that right end. So we're looking actually across, and the reason for that is to really for the referee to make sure that he keeps straight line of sight with his quarterback and his other keys. So he's not looking, quarterback, right side of the line, quarterback, and going back and forth. It's to help with line of sight for quarterback protection.
And now, how is that when you were on the defensive side? What was your key on the defensive side then?
Guard, center guard.
And who would have the tackles?
The white hat.
Okay. So right now, for us in the 6-man, I'm in charge of basically guard, center guard, and the away side tackle, and the R has the play side tackle through the play side tackle to the quarterback, with the primary function being the quarterback and hopefully getting help on our wings with the tackles on any type of holds out in the open area.
Right.
So it's not really that much of a difference in the keys. Are you finding that you are possibly missing penalties that you were able to get on the defensive side of this ball now that you're on the offensive side?
No, nothing that's we review film every week, so nothing that's shown up on film. Nothing's being missed. There's nothing glaring. You know, we don't have coaches calling in saying you're missing all these particular blocks or you know, holds or what have you. No, it's not been an issue. To me, it's easier to see them.
I was just going to say that for a lot of people that I have talked to are saying that the site for holding is actually a lot easier from the backfield as opposed to where we are on that side of the ball.
Absolutely.
Cut blocks, I think, are going to be made easier too. Seeing those high-low blocks, seeing those illegal cut blocks, different things like that. How about face masks? Any issue with seeing face masks? Because face masks are a tough penalty, and I know all the coaches always want to know a number, and that's probably the hardest one for us to get a number, because you got arms just kind of reaching into piles at times, and you can't really get a number. But are you seeing any difference with any face mask penalties?
I'm not. And oddly enough, we thought we would, but it's not been any different at all. I mean, it's been that's why I kind of laugh when I see comments online, and I'm just like, you just need to try it. You just need to get into it and not just try to squash it before you at least attempt to try it, because when you get back there, it's surprising how much the field opens up for you, because you're not in this self-contained small spot with the linebackers. I mean, it really opens up your field of view.
Okay. What about preventative officiating? Are you seeing any difference with just being able to talk with the kids, getting in their ear about different things? Mr. Official, 73 is holding me. Can you take a look at that? Are you still able to have that communication and that basically the relationship that we have with the linebackers and linemen from being in the offensive backfield?
Yeah, there's no change. I'm at every pile. Pulling the ball out to spot it. So I'm there. That's when I'm talking to them. Before, when I was in the defense, it's not like the linebackers were talking to me. They're worried about the play. They're not talking to me. Yep. So the preventative officiating is when we're umpiring the players and spotting the ball, and that's when they're talking to us. And then we're out, and they're worried about the game at that point, not talking to us.
And that's one of the big questions too that a lot of people have had is we lose the relationship. And again, personally, that is one thing that I relish. I truly love being in the middle, to be there and have that communication. Also, to my coaches that might be listening, I'm away from you guys a little bit too. So I used to be a coach for 20 years, so I know most of
you understand completely.
Yeah. And I've probably said it myself. So
I'm with you totally.
But yeah, I do truly enjoy being in the middle of the field and having that relationship, and just kind of controlling the tempo of the game. I think that's one of the biggest things that people don't understand is that, yeah, we've got our clock operator, we got our head referee, there's 5 to 7 of us, sometimes 8 in a different crew that are on the field. But it's usually us as the umpire that is controlling the tempo of the game. Are there any issues, anything different? Because now you just talked about, when we were talking pre-production again, you worked one night where both teams were no huddle, hurry up offense, and then the next game you had were 2 huddle offenses, slower tempo, slower pace, kind of ground and pound style offense.
Right.
Are you seeing a difference with you being able to control the tempo of the game with the different style offenses that you're seeing?
No, I'm just more reactive to the tempo of the game. So the one I mentioned where it's 2 no-huddle offenses, high classification teams, you're just going way faster, and it's at a much faster pace, and you're just you don't have as much time to I don't want to say gather your thoughts, but to sort of pause between plays, because you're just in, you're out, you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out. Whereas the other one I mentioned, with 2 huddle offenses, you have time to get in and spot the ball and kind of trot back to where you are, and it's just, you just have to adjust and adapt to the pace of the game and the teams that you're calling. It's just that simple. But that was going to be the same whether you were in the defense or the offensive backfield.
Okay. So now, I had a game this weekend, and one of my pre-game routines that I do is after we talk with the coaches, myself and the head referee, we go get all the pre-game stuff. I go and introduce myself to the centers, and I have a quick conversation with the centers. Say, hey, I'm Mike. I'm going to be in the middle of the field with you. got to do me a favor. And if you're a no huddle team, just wait. I'm going to give you a hand saying, hold up, hold up, hold up. I'm going to be communicating with you because we got to make sure that our chain guys are set. We got to make sure that the ball has been relayed out. So even if it's a hurry up type of style offense, I'm going to bust my butt to make it as fast as possible, but I still got to make sure that everybody else does it. So I have that relationship, and I end up knowing the kids by name by the end of the game and talking with the centers. With you now, with them having their back to you, are you still able to have that relationship with them?
Oh, yeah. So not only talking with that center to let them know I'll be in and just let me get out before you snap the ball. You know, I just kind of let them know that I'm not going to slow you down. I'm going to get in, get out. And then that's when I talk to the skill position players as well. It's like, look, I'm going to be running in every play. Get the ball to me and I'll spot it and I'll have your offense moving even faster than it would be if I'm having to, you know, if you flip the ball somewhere, if you drop it somewhere else, it's just going to slow you down. It's your clock. So it's how quick do you want to go? And so that it's just those kind of sorts of conversations. And 9 times out of 10, really almost 10 out of 10, they're receptive to it. They understand that it's to their benefit.
So now let's talk a couple different specific scenarios now. Quarterback drops back to pass, and now a little scramble drill. They start rolling out to your side away from the R.
Yep.
Anything different for you, keys wise?
I'll pick up the quarterback when he passes in front of me. He'll become my responsibility at that point, and I'll follow him all the way into the side zone.
Okay, so you're going to have any type of roughing the passer. What about intentional grounding? Would you make an intentional grounding call?
Yeah, if he's on my side, if he's passed in front of me, and when I say passed in front, I'll let him get pretty well past because it's hard to get a white hat to want to give up that quarterback, and I don't know that they really ever truly do give up the quarterback. But once he's past me, I'll get with get the grounding. Anything like that. Like I said, follow them all the way into the boundary.
Okay. And what would the white hat's keys then be on that switch? Are you guys basically flip-flopping keys? Or they
complete reverse mechanic. He's just cleaning up behind. Yeah.
So it's a reverse mechanic, but east to west instead of north and south.
Correct.
Reverse mechanic.
That's it.
Okay. I had a scenario a couple years back, and this was my first year. When I was my first year as an umpire, I transitioned from a short wing to the umpire. Again, talking about holding up the tempo. A team hurried up their punt team out there, and I backed out too fast, and we ended up having too many players on the field, basically for both sides. It was a cluster, and it was completely. It was a learning experience for me in that scenario. Are you seeing teams that are going to hold their punt team to the last second, staying on the sidelines, and then all of a sudden kind of sprint them out to try to catch the defense in just a defensive positioning instead of a punt return positioning? And is there any issue with that?
We've seen it a little bit, but there's not been any issues with it. It's just it's been just a non-event, just part of playing football.
Is there any time that you are going back on the defensive side? Is there any scenario, hurry up or anything like that? Because I know in the college level they did experiment with putting them back on the defensive side, or the NFL putting them on the defensive side for a hurry up or inside the 2 minute. Is there anything that your association's talking about with that?
Not anymore. During COVID year, if I remember right, I believe we went back on punts and kicks, but now the mechanics got us back in the backfield on everything. There's not a time that we go back in the defensive backfield ever.
Okay, and that you were leading me right into my next question. Everybody's favorite plays, kick game.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff have you been able to experience now with the kick game, with your scrimmage kicks? Or what is your key now on a scrimmage kick?
The line. The line is mine. So I line up even with the punter, split out about 7 to 10 yards wide, and I'm picking up everything on the line.
Okay. What about center protection? Who's keying in on the center's protection?
The white hat and I are both looking for that, and of course he's got the punter, but the center protection is primarily me.
Okay. Because we all know that is the funky time when
right.
plays can go awry. So Yeah, and usually for myself, I'm going to back out a little bit deeper, but as I just showed in that clip where I wasn't deep enough and still got undercut.
Yeah.
All right, so we got our kick game mechanic, extra point field goal. What are you looking for again? You're still focusing on the O-line?
Same keys. Yep.
Does it differ if you have a left-footed kicker as opposed to a right-footed kicker? Are you in the R flipping sides?
We'll flip sides.
Okay, because the R is always facing towards the holder, so
Right.
that they can get the better angle on that.
Right. So that's one of those things in pregame. We'll ask the coach, right-footed, left-footed, left-hand, right-hand quarterback, just so we're clear ahead of time. It's funny. We, if it was on Facebook or somewhere, I read that, or may have been local, where umpires and ref or white hat in the backfield, and the coach was swapping out quarterbacks every play, and it was a left-handed, right-handed swap. And so every play they were having to swap. I don't know where I read that at, but I thought, okay, that could be a bit much, but luckily we haven't, run into anything like that.
So right now, our mechanic for our head referee is they are going to be on the right side regardless. We're actually not flipping sides, so they're going to be on the quarterback or in the offensive backfield right side, regardless of a righty or lefty quarterback. The kicker definitely makes the difference for the extra points because, again, you want to face towards the holder. But quarterbacks right now don't make a difference. And by our mechanics manual, I'm supposed to be kind of diagonally across, basically stacked over the left guard, left tackle to face the left guard, left tackle, guard center. But I'm not going to lie, I'm not a stationary object. I get myself into the best position that I can see the ball and still see my keys. So there's times where I might be on the short side of the field, I might be directly in front of the R on the right side, but tilted in, focusing in on my keys because, well, as a coach for 20 years, I used myself as a pick a number of times, so I want to kind of change up where I'm going to be so that coaches aren't saying, well, he's going to be 7 yards deep, over top the tackle, let's run right at him and set that pick. So I am moving around with that, so it is one thing that I kind of do in my state, and my state's actually been for it. We've gotten evaluated, and they're like, I like how you move around, you're getting yourself in. I'm trying to find the safest area.
Sure.
So, people that are still against it now, let's go back to that. You talked about the running aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other rationale really behind why they don't want to move?
I think maybe it's football fans, period, but folks are just resistant to change, and if you don't evolve. And that's coaches, that's players. If you watch the LSU USC game this week, that hit at the end of the play that disqualified the LSU player. Just a few years ago, that's a clean hit, and we're all saying that's just a football move.
Yes.
Well, the game has evolved, and now it's for safety reasons. It's not a football move anymore. Now it's a disqualifying action, and so I think referees, just like coaches, just like players, we've got to evolve, and that's all it is. It's just you just got the game's going to change, and so you've just got to change with it. I mean, you can gripe and you can complain. The NFL's done this now for I think 14 years with the umpire in the backfield, and it's worked out pretty well. And I'm pretty sure they've got some high caliber athletes there. So if they can make it work, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So if they can make it work, I'm pretty sure high school can make it work as well.
But now I'm going to play devil's advocate with that one.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL has the two in the backfield, but they still have the one on the defensive side of the ball. So that's one that comes back to you. So I'm just trying to get opinions out there and thoughts on everybody. So that's going to be one that people do come back with and say, well, they still have somebody back there.
Well, they've got a back judge. College has got an umpire.
Oh, that's right. I stand corrected. College still has the umpire, and they have the center judge.
Right. Right. So yeah, college you're a little spoiled now, But NFL, NFL's had that that open area, if you will, that we kind of alluded to earlier and talked about in the defensive, in that second level for 14 years now, and it's working out pretty well. And I believe the NFL made the change for safety reasons as well, and they evolved. So I think we've got to do the same thing.
So now, one thing that I could say, I used to be an offensive lineman. I played small-time college football, Division III college football here in New Jersey. I used to be 350 pounds. I've lost a lot of the weight. Like I said, I'm down to close to 230 right now. But I've had people say, well, you're not the stereotypical umpire. And I'm like, well, I was an offensive lineman, so I know what's going on in there. I can see things in there, which is why I do enjoy being in there. But because I'm not as big as I used to be, and that I can move a little bit better than I used to be, I'm not the stereotypical umpire.
Sure.
I'm not going to lie to you, and I know, again, I'm probably going to piss off some people with this, but I know how hard these kids work. I know how much time the coaches put in and the effort they put in. If I could take 20, 25 minutes out of my day to go for a walk or a jog or something like that to get myself in a little bit of better shape so that I can officiate a better football game for those kids, I'm going to do it because I want to keep myself able to move. I don't want to be, and unfortunately, a good majority of the injuries, like you said, it's a retirement type of position. Those stationary objects in the middle of the field, they're the ones that are typically, and again, not always, but they're the ones that are typically the ones that are getting injured. So, to me, I would take it as a motivation. If my state switched and made it mandatory that our U's were in the offensive backfield, knowing that, all right, hey, I got to move some more. Let me start doing that now, not in the middle of the season. Let me get myself prepared earlier in the summer, different things like that. Maybe that's a motivational type of tool for some U's. You mentioned earlier that in Middle Tennessee that you are good with numbers. I know a lot of states are not so good with numbers, and I know that's one of the fears that a lot of states have, is they feel like if they do that move, they're gonna lose some officials. What's your opinion with that?
You know, you said a second ago you might piss people off, and I might do the same thing here. I'm just then get out and recruit who you need. I mean, we don't sit around and wait for folks to come to us. We are very. You see the website behind us. We are so active in recruiting, and not only recruiting, but we're active in keeping our churn rates low. For those first 2 or 3 years, if we can keep a new official past that first 2 or 3 years, then we've probably going to have them long term. And so you've just got to keep recruiting. And if you've got officials, and listen, I've got the highest respect for everybody I'm with, but if the difference between you retiring and continuing to officiate is whether you're in the defensive or offensive backfield, then I would question why you were out there to begin with. It's not that big a deal. It's really not. And it's like I said, you know, social media sort of amplifies the best and the worst, and so you take it with a grain of salt. But just some of the comments that I read, it's just, you know, it's kind of like, man, it's like you act like we're talking about, you know, the election coming up. It's not that big a deal. It's just give it a shot, and I promise. I'm not going to promise, but I will put forth that you will probably be pleasantly surprised by the time it's all said and done.
And you're right. Change is hard. Change is difficult, and it will take some time. But we had preseason. We had scrimmages. I worked games. I missed some calls, and I would go over to the coach. Hey, coach, I missed that hold on that one. And they're like, listen, it's preseason for you guys too. You're getting back into the groove of things too.
Absolutely.
And that's our opportunity to get better at our trade and working the youth games and your sub-varsity games and things like that. For us in New Jersey, our sub-varsity games, our freshman and junior varsity games are either 3-man officials or 4-man crews. So when we do a 3-person crew, I'm the referee in the offensive backfield. So we joke around, we call it the rumpferee. I'm the ref and umpire. So I'm coming up I'm making the spots on that. Our wings are running up and down the sidelines. They have to control both sidelines. I'm controlling the middle of the field. I don't see a difference in that as opposed to what we're talking about in a varsity game now if I was in the offensive backfield. So
totally agree.
I don't know.
Totally agree.
It's definitely going to be a controversial one, and again, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free, comment. I am thick-skinned. I want to hear your opinions for or against this type of thing. But again, my number one thing now is I got out of coaching because of my family, because I want to spend more time on my family, because coaching takes up a heck of a lot of time with the preparation, with the workouts and all that other stuff. But I also want to be healthy, and if this is a way that I can stay healthy while still being involved in the sport of football, I'm all for it. And a prime example, worked a game the other night. We had a fill-in official for one of ours, so we have set crews in New Jersey, but one of the people on our crews is actually a head referee at the collegiate level. So because of his collegiate schedule, he couldn't be there, and we had a fill-in. Now the fill-in is also a collegiate official, but he's not a head referee, and he didn't have a game this weekend. He's also somebody who played in the NFL. He was a skill position in the NFL. And joking around, he's like, you could put me in the deep wing, you could put me in the back, put me in the back judge, put me anywhere you want. He goes, just don't put me in the middle of the field. I don't want anywhere to be in the middle of the field. And he didn't want the white hat responsibilities because everybody yells at the white hat and knows the white hat's name. And he didn't want the umpire position because of what we're talking about.
Sure.
So I think we would be able to retain more people because it wouldn't have to be the offensive line type of person to be the umpire in the middle of the field. We would be able to get younger, different physique type of people to be in that umpire position, knowing that, all right, I'm going to be safer. I'm going to be away from those 320-pound offensive linemen that are blocking that 250-pound linebacker running full speed.
Right.
So again, just my opinion, but again, ladies and gentlemen, please comment. Go to Facebook, or go to YouTube. Put all the comments on there. Let's hear some feedback.
And I'll tell you, if you're an existing umpire and if the physicality of it is what's intimidating, I think to your point, and I did the same thing a few years ago. Let that be a motivating factor to sort of, now like I said, none of us are getting younger, and so use that as a motivating factor to get healthier and make yourself better at your vocation just for that reason.
All right, Mark. So what I'm going to do here is I got a couple of some video clips. First couples are going to be some drone video from a scrimmage that I got to work recently. The school was nice enough to send me their video from the drone view. So we're going to see from the eye in the sky in the middle of the field, and I'm going to kind of talk through my position going on here with the umpire position. So here comes. You'll see me in the middle of the field here. Okay, I got as I talked about, now I'm directly over a ball. If you can see the R's back here with the coaches, because it is a scrimmage, so all coaches are on the field. But I've got my keys, I'm in my ready position, and now I'm moving. So there's no difference, play comes over, I'm moving, and I'm hustling right now there. We had a good short wing that was getting out there. Let's see the next one here. All right. Kid had to tie his shoes, so I'm holding the tempo up. Again, could do the same thing. I'm giving my signal. I got 11 on offense. I'm in my position. Well, now I'm sidetracking a linebacker on that one. So let me rewind that one. So this is one thing that does happen for us as umpires, and you'll see right here, well, that linebacker literally crosses in front of my face. So that 1 second blind spot that I have, or half-second blind spot if you want to say that, have you ever missed a call because you were blocked out by a defensive player in front of you? Have you missed a holding call that maybe was quite obvious to everybody else, but you couldn't see because you were screened out by a defensive player?
Oh, I'm sure I have.
Yep. Let's see. Got one where it's a little close encounter. Right there, I got two guys running through me. Where's the one I want to... I think this is the one here. Yep, oh yeah, there it is. So with this one here, again, I'm in the middle of the field, and for my listeners that aren't watching it on video, I'm focusing on our 5 down linemen, backfield, and from the right side of the screen, they're running some type of mesh route. So you got a cross coming across the middle, being covered by either a strong safety or a cornerback. I can't tell from this film, but they literally give me a close shave right there. The defensive back decides to cut under me instead of going over me, and he clips me there and almost clips the side of my head. So right there is just another example. Let me rewind it one more time, and boom. And it happens, and that's something that's coming from out of my sight line that I'm not able to pick up. That, again, I consider myself somewhat athletic. I used to be an athlete, and I'm just older now, so I don't know if I can truly categorize myself in that aspect. That's me taking a fall again. And now here, we'll go with a couple of these are the ones that were sent to me from Oregon. 5-man crew. Here's our U in the back. This is a scrimmage kick, so here's our punt formation. Now, is this similar to how your setup is?
It is. I would be even with the punter, but yeah.
Okay, so you would be up a little bit more. The punter
Correct.
here looks to be about 10 yards, so a shorter punt, but you got your 2 wings on the sides, and then you're going to have your back judge in the middle of the field working with the punt return. My question with this, who's got the line of scrimmage? Do you have somebody that's holding the line of scrimmage to get, say, that kick that bounces over the line of scrimmage and comes back, or any type of rollout with the quarterback or the punter having to throw the ball of crossing the line of scrimmage? Because I know in some states on the snap they have one of their wings kind of floating down and the other wing holding the line of scrimmage. Is that what you guys are doing?
That's exactly what we do.
Okay. So they're still in charge of that line. So we'll take
Correct.
a look here and focus here on our wings here. So, yep. So what they got here is the head linesman on the snap of the ball slowly starts to float downfield because A, he's got the sticks behind him, so he knows where his mark can be. So in case something has to come back, we tell the chain gang, don't move, wait for us to call you down. But then you got your other short wing on the opposite side of the field holding that line of scrimmage, typically until the ball is kicked.
Right.
And then once the ball is kicked, tracking the ball, because they're the ones now that are going to make that decision. In this scenario, the ball was punted from the plus 48-yard line. Well, if the ball was shanked and hit on the plus 45 and then bounced backwards towards K, well, we got to make sure that we know where that is, because in that scenario, K could scoop the ball up and go. So you got somebody still holding the line of scrimmage. So again, mechanically, nothing really is different. All right. Oh, look, and we even have a hanky on the field by a short wing that was coming down late, cleaning the play up, doing their job and cleaning the play up. All right, I got one more clip here. Now again, you'll see we got a punt formation again. Our R is on the top, even with the punter. Actually, kind of looks a little bit staggered in front, and it looks like the U here again, even with the punter. So same formation. Now here's one that's real fun. Is we got 4th and 1. So here we got to be prepared for any type of fakes and different things like that, because it's 4th and 1 from the 42-yard line. So got to make sure that we have our mechanics in that aspect. We got a regular snap. R sat there and focused on the kicker, on the punter, and we're playing football from there. No real difference with that.
None.
So, I mean, those are just a couple of clips of some examples of pros and cons of both spots. Actually, more pros on being in the offensive backfield and more cons against being on the defensive side. But
yeah, especially I would argue on a scrimmage kick, because I think you've done the same as me, being working scrimmage kicks at umpire when you've got an entire what feels like army charging at you, and you're not, you're just kind of dodging more than anything else. And letting everyone get past you and then cleaning up. So it's not having to worry about that is quite wonderful.
So with you saying that, when you're dodging, are you also officiating at that point in time?
I'm trying to, but
You're trying to. Yep, exactly. But it's difficult. And it happens on a regular offensive play too. On a regular play where
Absolutely.
you're dodging and looking and you're possibly missing. I've had kids complain to me, "Sir, you didn't see that hold?" And my answer was no, because your 3 tech got blocked back into me, and I was backpedaling for my life just to get myself out of there. So we miss, unfortunately, more calls because of dodging large human beings.
Absolutely. They get bigger every year.
I know. And faster and stronger, and I get older every year. Well, Mark, we're kind of at that 45-minute spot. Do me a favor. Plug your association. How can people possibly get in touch with you if you are looking to become an official and you're in the Middle Tennessee area? How can people get in touch with you about joining our awesome associations that we have across the country?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So Nashville area is where we're really located. Nashville and just the surrounding counties. Now, we've got folks that stretch out even more than that, but MTFOA, Middle Tennessee Football Officials Association, mtfoa.org. If you can go to our website and you can register there, you can find information for local meetings, everything about our association. All the folks in it, all the history for it is all on that website. So I would encourage anybody to go there and take a look. And always happy to train up new folks and to bring in transfer officials. We've had so many transfer officials, a lot from your neck of the woods of people moving to the Nashville area from New York, New Jersey. Chicago, out west. It seems like everybody's moving here. It seems you always hear the joke of saying the state's closed, and that's kind of our joke. But we'll take transfer officials anytime. Always glad to see them come in.
And I'm definitely gonna, for those that are listening, I will have that website in the show notes. So I'll have a link in there. So if you look on the show notes, you'll be able to click that link right then and there. So if you're driving right now, please don't stop to write that down. Just go back and look at the show notes and click the link right through there. Please be safe while you're out there. But Mark, once again, truly appreciate you taking the time on this Labor Day weekend to come on and join us and talk about the umpire position. And for my listeners out there, again, please hit that like and subscribe button. Follow me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. Look for Mike D, the referee, on Twitter, also known as X. Still can't get through that, but I guess I'm still on the defensive side of the ball.
Exactly.
Hard time changing. But
Exactly.
I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. So look for me. We'll have different clips up there, different things. But go out there, hit that like, subscribe. And again, if you're thinking about officiating, give it a shot. Give it a shot. Go out and do it. If you're a coach and you can't coach anymore, or you're finishing up playing high school football and you can't play anymore, or college player and time doesn't allow you to become a coach and you want to stay involved in the sport, this is a fantastic way to keep you involved in the sport that we all love and continue to grow the sport. Mark,
Absolutely.
Once again, thank you very much for taking your time out today. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week, and be safe out on the field and have a great season.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the invite. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Hill from the Middle Tennessee Football Association, mtfoa.org. Check it out, especially if you're in that Tennessee area. Once again, everybody have a great day, have a safe season, and it's football season. Let's keep it rolling. All right.